Well, the latest numbers we have at this hour are the same that we had around 5 p.m. 99 people are unaccounted for, according to the Miami Beach mayor. In Polk County, a youth pastor is facing serious charges. Deputies say he tried to have sex with a teenage girl in his youth group. In the words of Grady Judd himself, the people of Frostproof said, look at this individual, and that's exactly what investigators did. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he believes delivery of the COVID-19 vaccine booster shots will be able to start on September 20th. What once was paradise in the Panhandle is now ground zero for the devastation left behind in the wake of Hurricane Michael. And take a look at what is right behind me. We are at the Florida Forest Service's, one of their stations. This is a fire watchtower, 80 feet tall, that was absolutely flattened. And there seems to be this acrimony between the president and Republican congressional leadership over this last week especially. How do you repair this relationship going into the fall? Maybe I've been watching too many Tampa Bay Lightning games and I'm trying to be the next Braden Point, but I can assure you I'm about as good as he was at age 4 on the ice. Well, as you all know, the holiday season is perhaps the busiest time of the year for my favorite thing, shopping. Yeah. About 2024, I know that is the question on everyone's mind. Are you running? Why? A murder suspect captured after managing to escape. And it didn't last long. Fox 13's Dan Maddox is live in Largo, where the sheriff just spoke about the case. Dan, what can you tell us? When Tom Brady came by, there were so many cheers for the quarterback that really, many say has been the savior of this team. He got his first Super Bowl ring when he was just 24 years old, playing for the Patriots back in '02. Several of his team members are around that age, winning their first ring today. Chris Godwin at 24, Leonard Fournette at just 26 years old. On Local 18 News at 5:30. Well, world leaders didn't waste any time congratulating Donald Trump. Louisiana is breaking records this year for the state with the most adoption. And it wasn't just one sample in Tampa that they tested, but 24 different samples that they tested not once but twice and then waited for the green light from the Florida Health Department. In the last 5 minutes, we just received word from the assistant county administrator that 3 patients have been confirmed dead. All right, I'm going to serve as the bad guy now in this scenario. Come on in and show me what you're putting on and what this suit is all about.
A little bit of extra safety that we don't always use.
Oh, buddy Ripley.
Sheriff Grady Judd paints a grim picture of the triggerman behind the Frostproof murders.
Here's the real Tony Wiggins. He's a thug. He's a criminal. He's pure evil in the flesh. He's wild and he's out of control.
With 230 felony criminal charges in his arrest history, Judd says many caller tips pointed his way.
The predominant information we got was, look at TJ Wiggins from Frostproof.
Once they did, the puzzle came together piece by piece. Investigators found items recently purchased at Dollar General inside victim Damian Rollins' truck. Surveillance video from the store put Wiggins' girlfriend Mary Whitmore and brother Robert Wiggins there as well. It was Robert who helped piece together what happened from the store to the shooting.
When Robert's in line, he hears Damian tell the clerk, "We're going fishing." "Yeah, I'm going fishing with Kevin."
Robert tells his brother this, and after hearing Kevin will be there, tells Damian to go to the lake, where an argument breaks out and TJ pulls out a gun, accusing Kevin of selling the engine out of his truck. Sheriff Judd says that's when the shooting began.
He starts shooting Kevin and Brandon inside of the white truck. It's estimated, and this is still under investigation, he shoots him 9 to 10 times between the two of them.
This poor kid didn't know what's going on, man.
Cyril Rollins rushed to the scene after a wounded Brandon called him.
You can't imagine the horror of a dad to find his son shot up.
Rollins' family says with the 3 behind bars, they're on the way to finding peace.
Brandon, Kevin, and Damian will now rest in peace knowing that Mr. TJ won't be out on the street no more.
A woman who was targeted by that extremist group is speaking out about the fall of the Capitol. She served her country for years as the first female Afghani Air Force pilot. But as Fox 13's JenniferMHolton explains, her job led to death threats, shattered dreams, and eventually her escape to the United States.
Ask Nilafar Rahmani when she knew she wanted to become a pilot, and she can recall the months that changed everything.
I would see the airplanes, the fighter jets. They were flying over our, house, an entire city, and I would just sit and watch them.
It was the fall of 2001, and the United States was hungry to clear the region of Taliban rule.
I just knew that this is going to be the end of war and the end of terrorism, and they're going to bring peace to Afghanistan.
20 years later, you see the same aircraft, only now instead of coming, they are going for good.
We never thought this situation and the stories back in Afghanistan is going to repeat again, like it's repeating now.
The 29-year-old escaped Afghanistan in 2015 after skyrocketing to fame as the first female Afghan Air Force pilot, or infamy in the Taliban's eyes.
They all start threatening me and my family by saying that I am not a good Muslim woman, I have abandoned my culture, my religion, and I deserve to be honor killed.
The U.S. granted her asylum in 2018, but her parents and sister remain in Kabul. She spoke with her father this weekend.
My dad is a very strong man. So he's just trying to tell me everything is fine. But that's not the case.
With history repeating itself, Rahmani gets emotional thinking about the young girls left behind who have never known life under Taliban rule.
Now, all of a sudden, they see those evils that they're in the city and they're just waiting for America to evacuate completely. And then they are completely know that Afghanistan is under control and they're going to start their violence and their laws, and it will be the same laws that they had 20 years ago, maybe even stronger.
She's asking Americans to pray for the one thing she never felt as a child: safety.
I just need their prayers for Afghan people, and just keep them on their prayers.
JenniferMHolton, Fox 13 News.
Oh my God, another plane has just hit another building.
This was the moment James Mitchell knew the United States was under attack.
You know, the first one you thought, oh, well, maybe it was a mistake. Second one, it was obvious.
The Air Force psychologist had retired just a month before and had taken a few contracting gigs with the CIA. But 9/11 was a turning point that would change life as he knew it.
I called my handler at the agency, the guy who was my contract manager, and said, hey, I don't know what I can do, but I'd like to be part of the solution.
He was tasked with taking what he knew about resistance training and create an interrogation program for high-value detainees that included sleep deprivation, wall slamming, and waterboarding. Mitchell knew in taking this post there was no turning back.
I had a higher moral obligation to save hundreds, maybe thousands of American lives than I did to protect the temporary discomfort of the terrorists who had voluntarily taken up arms to kill Americans.
That included Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, known as KSM, who claimed that he planned the attack from, quote, A to Z.
How would you characterize Khalid Sheikh Mohammed?
He's a savant when it comes to planning attacks. We've got to remember that he has an engineering degree from the U.S. He had other options in life rather than being a terrorist. So he's very bright, but he's evil.
In his book that details the interrogations, Mitchell calls KSM the devil and the diva.
He can be incredibly charming, remarkably charming, and some people will call me a heretic for saying it, but there were times when I enjoyed talking to him because we talked about his religion, and we talked about what motivated him to do what he would do, and we talked about why he thought they would eventually beat the United States. And these were conversations that we had, not when I was interrogating him, but when we were just spending time with him because we didn't want him to be by themselves all the time.
Mitchell would spend months getting inside the mind of KSM and obtaining intelligence he says thwarted al-Qaeda's second wave of attacks.